I totally missed it yesterday.
Guys, welcome back to the off-grid garage here in sunny. Look at this. Sunshine everywhere. Almost 1300 watts per square meter outside. And this is just at the beginning of spring. So in summer with a really blue sky, we will see 1600 watt per square meter. So I would need only 4 square meters to cover all my energy needs. Yeah, my friends, welcome back to the off-grid garage here in sunny hot Australia, as you have just seen. Welcome back to the show. And I missed it yesterday, the first full charge of the battery shelf. I was in the city to meet up with a friend we all know, Peter. Yeah, that Peter from the Peter boards. And he gave me some very interesting new toys to play with. These are the brand new IBMS boards here, and they are amazing what they can do. These boards basically remove all the existing obstacles, all the issues with any BMS. The JK, the Pace, the Dali, the Seplos, any BMS. Yeah, all the problems gone. Coming up on the channel very soon. At the moment, we are on 36.2% state of charge. This is what the Smart Shunt says we are. We are coming in from the MPPTs with a 3.8 kilowatts plus another 1.4 from the PV inverter, which is our tilt system. Yeah, these are 4 micro-inverters in one box connected to one 510 watt solar panel each. So all in total 5.6 kilowatt at the moment. Yesterday we had pretty much the same, and I thought 36.5% is actually accurate. Turned out it is not. Let's have a look. So here we are going to the advanced side of the off-grid garage. We click here on yesterday, wait for the data to load, and zoom in to this area here just a tiny bit. So we can see here the blue line and the yellow line. Blue is voltage, yellow is current. And here on the right hand side you can actually see the state of charge coming from the Smart Shunt, yeah? So at 54.5 volts, the Smart Shunt thinks we are at 60% state of charge, yeah? Now we kept charging, of course, current 170, 180 amps. And then here at this point we hit 55 volts, which is very close to 3.45 per cell. Smart Shunt thinks we are at 75%, and we kept charging. Yeah, and then we had some clouds, so current goes down to 100 amps only, comes up to 180 amps again. And here at this point we are hitting 55.2 volts. You can see that. And the Smart Shunt claims 80.5% state of charge. And then you can see the flat area of the voltage curve there. This is our absorption phase for 1 hour. We are holding 55.2 volts. Current is obviously tapering off as all the batteries in the battery shelf are absorbing. And then here after 1 hour, before we go into float, we are hitting 87.1 volts with the Smart Shunt here. So it didn't reset in this hour because the current was still too high, yeah, 37.3 amps. And we have set the Smart Shunt to, reset to 100% at 55 volts. Tail current is 2%, so 2% of 864. So 17.5 amps around, and we were still at 37, so far over this tail current. And the charging detection time was 3 minutes. Yeah, obviously the current was still too high after 1 hour. The batteries were still absorbing, and we didn't meet these 3 criteria of the Smart Shunt to reset. So it didn't reset. It would have been wrong to reset to 100% because at this point the batteries were not at 100%. Obviously after 1 hour the MPPTs throttled down to 53.6 volts, which is a 3.35 per cell, and we are floating the battery now. When we say floating, we are not really floating the battery in terms of we floated lead acid batteries in the past, yeah? When we reduce the voltage to 3.35 volts, there will be no current going into the battery anymore. This is exactly the same as you would turn off your charger. But here floating the batteries at 3.35 volts has the big advantage. It keeps the battery at 100% as long as you have enough solar to power your loads. If you turn on more load than you have solar, obviously energy is coming from the battery again, yeah? If the load disappears, solar will recharge your battery to 3.35 volts only. So you could see here the state of charge of the Smart Shunt stays at 87%. It didn't move because we haven't met these 3 criteria to reset to 100%. So it looks like this Smart Shunt is actually 13% off, yeah? Battery was full, but Smart Shunt shows only 87%. So if you go back to today into the dashboard and adding 13% on top of the 37 here, we are at 50% already. So keep this in mind. So we need to recharge the battery only by 50% now to get back to 100%. It will take a while, maybe 2-3 hours or so, so we will come back later. So solar production is increasing now, over 6 kilowatt we see. It is just a matter of time. And yesterday I could also see another problem again with the battery shelf, especially with the middle shelf battery. As you know, these are the version 1 of the EVE cells. Yeah, they have the threaded hole, the M6 hole, and you have to put a threaded stud inside and then put your bus bar on top and a flange nut on top of that to hold everything together. And this is an aluminium terminal, and we are using tinned copper bus bars. But we also try to use aluminium bus bars on top of the aluminium terminals, with and without paste in between. It all works for a while and then it drops out again. And you can see this here on the screen already, yeah? Top shelf has 16 millivolt deviation at the moment at 40 amps into the battery. The middle shelf, 29 amps only, 60 millivolt deviation. Bottom shelf, 37 amps into the battery, 14 millivolt. You can see how high the deviation already is here. And when we push harder into the battery, we will actually see here this is increasing up to 150 millivolt. So there is obviously once again a problem with the aluminium terminals and the bus bars. The aluminium terminals of the version 1 EVE cells were not great. They build an oxidation layer very, very quickly, and over time the connection's getting worse and worse, and the overall resistance is actually much larger in this battery. We have tested this in a previous video and removed all the aluminium bus bars, replaced them with copper bus bars, but it didn't help, yeah? It helps for 3 months and then this shit happens again. I will show you this again later here when the current is actually increasing into the batteries. We will see here a much higher deviation, and we can probably also see that the balancer will come on at a very early stage because one of the cells already hits 3.45 volts, which is our trigger for start balancing with the JK BMS. Alright, I would say let's keep the battery charging here. When something interesting happens, I'll be back here on camera and show you what's going on. So we're now at 6.5 kilowatt already, only increasing. We've got beautiful sunshine outside. So it is now shortly after 12, so 1.5 hours later. We are reaching the 10 kilowatt mark, there it is, of incoming solar with the tilt system and all the MPPTs. And you can see this nicely here in Home Assistant. In this card, yeah, we are running at about 60% capacity of the solar now. So there's still something to come. Yeah, charging the battery again with 180 amps around. And when we have a look at this card here, so 65 amps going into the top shelf battery, which is a higher capacity battery than the other ones. It is 304 ampere hours, yeah, LF304. These ones here are 280 ampere hour batteries, so the current naturally is a bit lower anyway. But middle shelf only 53 and bottom shelf, which is the furthest away from the charger, 61. Yeah, makes no sense. This one should actually be in between this one and this one. It should definitely be higher than this one because the bottom one is further away from the charger, but it is not. 104 millivolt deviation, and you can see the balancer is already on. The highest cell, number 11, is at 3.49 volts. This will not be of a big problem anymore in the future once we have connected more batteries in parallel, because then the current will be much lower and we don't have this much voltage delta across our 16 cells anymore for this particular battery. It is still an issue with this battery, but I don't know how to resolve it. These version 1 EVE cells, they had really bad terminals. This aluminium was not great. Yeah, these cells have aluminium terminals as well, but they are welded with a stud on it. And we're using the same tin copper bus bars for all 3 batteries now. And we only have 20 millivolt deviation top and bottom, but 100 millivolt here in the middle shelf because of this oxidation layer. But anyway, we are charging along quite happily. So we are at 59% state of charge plus 13%, which were missing yesterday, which the Smart Shunt doesn't know about. And there's nothing wrong with the Smart Shunt. We would potentially be a lot closer to the actual state of charge of the battery, but because I have reset the Smart Shunt to 0% when all 3 of the batteries were at 2.5 volts with one of their cells and the battery shelf has turned off, I zeroed everything out, yeah, and started from there with the Smart Shunt and with all 3 BMS to see what is going on when they recharge. In theory, it shouldn't matter if you do a reset at 100% or a reset at 0%. But of course, only one cell is at 0%. All the other ones are a bit higher, so it is not quite the same as doing it at the top. But I wanted to see what is going on. And the Smart Shunt apparently now has 13% less state of charge calculated as it is in real life. The overkill JBD BMS, 96%. It is actually very, very accurate. So I really don't want to replace this BMS with another JK. I really want to keep the JBD overkill BMS state of charge capacity measurement spot on with this one. Yeah, we know 59 plus 13 makes 72, and we are at 69 now. So very, very close to the true state of charge of our battery shelf. The 2 JK BMSs in the middle and bottom shelf are not too bad either, 71% and 76%, but this is because they already hit the 100% yesterday. We probably can click on one of them and can see this here. Show more. Yeah, you can see it here. It charged up yesterday and then it's set on 100%, and the actual real state of charge came closer. And then when the sun went down, I discharged the battery and both real and calculated state of charge went down at the same time. So the difference is not as much anymore as it was before. But if we have a look at this month, for example, we probably can see that we have hit 100% every single day, yeah, and the battery was not on 100%, not even close. So really the state of charge calculation is totally off in these 2 BMS, but now with hitting 100%, they are recalibrating and everything is fine until the next winter again. Okay, we keep charging until we go a bit higher with the voltage. We are at 54.3 volts. But this is charging voltage. Yeah, if I would turn off the charger, voltage would go down to 52.8 or something maybe, I don't know. This is charging voltage. We are pressing hard. See, we are charging over 0.2 C now into this battery. Yeah, it's a 304 ampere hour battery. This would be around 60 amps would be 0.2 C, and we are just a bit over. That's fine. But again, this doesn't matter because we will connect more batteries and then the current for each battery will go down significantly. All right, see you in 55.09, 55.06, 55.22. Well, congratulations, bottom shelf battery or BMS. You have reached the 55.2 volts, the first. We've got 16 millivolt deviation only after the whole winter charging and discharging and all doing this crazy kind of stuff. And even here in the top shelf with the JBD overkill solar BMS, we've got only 13 millivolt at 55.2 volts. And this one has only a 100 amp passive balancer or something. So even this battery is 100% balanced. Beautiful. It's balancing just a tiny bit now because we are over 10 millivolt deviation. The balancer kicks in. You can see this down here in the bottom shelf as well. Yeah, this one has only a 0.6 amp balancer and is doing a bit of balancing. We are over 10 millivolt deviation. Middle shelf obviously looks completely different, yeah. It is balancing cell number 11 because it thinks this is the cell with the highest voltage, but it is only the cell with the highest connection voltage, yeah. The problem is the connection and the current going through. More resistant, have a higher voltage. Cell number 11 may be totally fine, but this is not what the BMS measures. And here again, crazy, 16 amps top shelf, 55 middle, and only 5 amp in the bottom shelf battery. Yeah, this one is now catching up because it was charging slower the whole time. We should already see all the MPPTs. Here they are all flashing yellow now. They are already in absorption mode. And here the Multiplus as well shows the absorption LED. Let's see if we have increased the frequency already, but I don't think so. Now we are still at 50 Hertz because we are still taking all the energy to charge the middle shelf battery. But once this is tapering down and we have got more solar than we actually need, it will increase the frequency here to 53 gradually and reduce the power output of the tilt system then. But at the moment we are still pushing 70 amps into the battery, but we will see this current actually going down. Yeah, 66. So all three batteries are now at 55.2 volts or slightly over. The middle shelf battery has caught up, still charging with 10 amps. Deviation has come down a little bit. So I'm seeing 70, 60 millivolt deviation now sometimes. The other two batteries are fine. This one has slightly increased actually, which is an interesting factor as well. But the balancer is still working on it, so totally fine. It will balance out over time, there's nothing to worry about. All your cells don't have to be perfect every single time. So we are at 87%, plus 13 makes 100, so we are very close. The current needs to go under 17.6 amps. Is that correct? 17.28 amps for 3 minutes, and then the Smart Shunt would reset to 100%, but it hasn't done it yet. Because if it goes over 17.28 amps again, just for a split second, within these 3 minutes, it starts this timer again. So it needs to stay under that, under 17 amps for 3 minutes to reset to 100%. Let's have a look how long we are absorbing already for. 28 minutes only, so we've got another 32 minutes to absorb. That should do the trick, and we should see 100% here then in the display. Of course, I missed it just now. It has changed to 100% state of charge. So officially we are now at 100% state of charge after the winter 2025. 100%, there it is. So this is what we consider now the battery is fully charged. It may be at 99.8 or 99.9%. Charging all the cells now to 3.65 volts will give you another 0.2 or 0.1% of your battery capacity. So basically nothing. This is 100%. So the MPPT solar charge controllers will shortly go to float mode and stop charging the battery basically. Yeah, and then we see only these 4 MPPTs and the tilt system delivering as much power as my load needs. And the battery is pretty much idling, not charging or discharging anymore. So, and let's see how our BMS are performing at 55.2 volts, 55.21, 55.25 and 55.24 here. They're all on 100% of course now. They have all reset and are basically taking no power at all anymore. So they are fully saturated at 3.45 volts or 55.2 volts pack voltage, 100% charge, right? Yeah, and also from now on they will work quite okay-ish, I would say. The Overkill JBD BMS anyway, but the other two JK BMSs will be kind of accurate if you frequently fully charge the battery and the BMS has a chance to reset to 100%, which could be a bit of a nightmare as well with these B series BMS we have, because they don't have the 100% state of charge voltage, which we can set up in the settings. But as I said in the beginning, the iBMS will take care of all of these problems here, not only for the Overkill and the JK BMS, also the Inverter BMS from JK and the Seplos BMS and the Pace and all the other BMSs you may have. But for now, everything is on 100%. That is nice. But we still haven't seen the frequency increasing. This may have to wait until we go into float mode. All right, give it another 15 minutes or so, and then we should see the frequency increasing and the tilt system actually shutting down as well. Here we go, officially at 50.6 Hertz. And you will see the PV inverters now throttling down slowly, the higher the frequency gets. 51 Hertz now, and only 900 watts coming from the tilt system. Nice. I always like watching this. This is so cool that the Multiplus can just control all the other inverters connected to the system by increasing the frequency. 51.3 now, and power from the tilt system is going down 700 watts. 51.5, 52 hertz now, and 300 watts only coming from the tilt system. Amazing! And this goes all the way up to 52.8 hertz, and then the inverter basically, it turns off right now, 52 hertz already, it shuts down. So that's it. No power from the tilt system anymore because we want to go to float mode. We want to lower the voltage. Okay, this may take, depending on the load now, discharging the battery a bit to 53.6 volts may take another half an hour, and then slowly the frequency will go down to 50 hertz again, and then the tilt system kicks back in to whatever power we need additionally from this system to hold our 53.6 volts with the batteries and supply power to the load. And obviously at sunset then we start discharging the battery again, but it will hold it until then at 53.6 volts. So amazing how this all works, right? Thank you for 115,000 subscribers. I haven't updated the wall yet. But thank you so much for all your support and reaching this number. It's truly amazing. Thank you very, very much. So it is always amazing to fully charge the battery for the very, very first time after the winter, right? And I'm always making a video about this special event every single year. And today we have actually the 24th of September. So it is exactly 1 year ago since we did the last video about this. So this is the exact 1 year celebration of this event. So we are now in absolute float mode. All the lights are green of the MPPTs. And we can also see the float state here on the Multiplus. So all the chargers, AC and DC, have now reduced the voltage to 53.6 volts. And we are not charging the batteries anymore at all. So for now we are all sitting on 100% state of charge and we are happily floating along. So it's always good to see that everything still works after a long winter break of 5 months now for me. But now, as expected, the Victron system is very reliable and works a treat. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for coming with me on this special day, charging the battery shell for the very, very first time after the winter break. It's always a very special day, and I'm so glad I can have you with me here. Thank you very, very much for your overall support, for all your donations, your nice comments, your likes, and sharing these videos everywhere. This all makes a huge difference, so thank you very, very much for your support. Guys, until the next video, you stay charged, stay safe, and thanks again for watching. See you then. Bye-bye. And to continue our celebrations of recharging the battery for the very first time after winter, we are also turning on the good old SPAT fridge. Yeah, there's not... it looks a bit... let's turn it on. Until next year, April. On. Yes, the light is back. Guys, thank you very much for all your donations. I will certainly use them to refill the fridge with some new SPAT.